Topic at hand. This isn't important because we're actually going to determine at the end of this segment once and for all, Danny, what I will be referring to FedExField as moving forward. The team, to their credit, and I'll tip my cap, they've gotten ahead of this. They're just going to name it Commanders Field. It's all over their website. That's what they want. I'm not doing that. I don't know if Commanders is the long-term name. Ownership hasn't come out and told me to buy in. I seem to think because of that they might change their name again. I think that even though Commanders in and of itself, when I hear it out loud, I don't love it. I don't go as far as to say it's cringeworthy. I think hearing Commanders Field for some reason is. So I'm just not doing that. I'd rather do Command Center, but I'm also not doing that. What am I going to call FedEx? That's the question. 800-636-1067. We'll get to the calls in a moment. I'm going to pitch my couple of ideas to you.
Okay.
First idea I've got is the age-old, like, bad joke about FedEx. But now I think I can use it and I feel okay about it. Fed up field. Bad stadium. People are fed up with it.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to say field. I can just moving forward say the game's at fed up. And it sounds kind of like FedEx. It rolls off the tongue. It's very quick.
It's easy and quick.
Everybody knows what I'm talking about. And just naturally, maybe at first people go, what's he talking about?
What's he saying?
But a few months from now, when you're listening to the show in October and they're playing a home game against Carolina or whatever.
Thursday night football at Fed Up.
We're going to Fed Up Sunday at 1 o'clock. Let's see what happens. The boys kick off just after 1. Fed Up Field is kind of the leader in the clubhouse for me. Danny, give me a suggestion.
What is that stadium? What is the location? What has it been for some time? You got one word, one syllable. What do you think about? What do you think about that home field? Overrun by opposing fans, miserable to get in and out, bad sight lines, long waits, cold chicken tenders. What do you think about? I think about Dallas Cowboy fans screaming at me. The whole experience every time I've been, nubs. That place is nubs. It sucks. I will be referring to it as Nubs Field. The game is at Nubs. Do they have a game at Nubs this weekend? Is it a home game? Steamed up. They're at Nubs. The place is Nubs. The idea is Nubs. The idea that they might be there for a second longer than they're contractually required to be is a non-starter and terrible. The whole thing is Nubs. Therefore, ipso facto, Nubs.
So Nubs Field.
Nubs Field.
And for short, Nubs.
Nubs.
Fed Up Field for short, Fed Up. Our buddy Richmond John tweeted me, said, change the name field. There's a little bit of momentum there.
That's a good bit.
Some other good ones I see here. The Battlefield from Carter Elliott.
Mm-hmm.
I don't hate that.
Mm.
The Battlefield. I mean, there's a little bit too much.
Because now you got to do the.
Yes, exactly. It's a little too wordy with the syllables. The Battlefield. That's 4.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to shrink that down a little bit, but we can workshop that. Sawdust says the only correct answer is winning off the field. 2 words, winning off the and field. That's not a bad bit.
Are they at Waft?
That's not a bad idea. They're playing at winning off the. I am actually going to jot that down right now. That's a lot.
That's a cumbersome construction.
It is.
But it's good.
But I like it from a branding standpoint. The Commanders and the Lions, Sunday at 4 o'clock at winning off the.
Winning off the field.
Thank you, Bruce. And we all know we got to keep Bruce's traditions alive.
His legacy alive.
As long as we can. David says Raljon Coliseum.
Mm-hmm.
Don't sleep on Raljon, Maryland. Was it ever Raljon Stadium? I think it was. Right before Jack Cook.
Was it Raljon Stadium? Because I know it was in Raljon, Maryland. I don't remember it was called Raljon.
Actually, I think that might play a little bit. What I like about that is the disrespect to Dan Snyder.
Yeah.
That he picked Commanders. I'm not using that. And I'm just going back to the previous owner as if you never existed. And I just say over at Raljon. And real ones know. That's one of those that separates the wheat from the chaff a little bit. Like if you hear Raljon and you're like, what's he talking about? That's not a word. You don't remember. But if you're a real one, you know about Raljon, Maryland. You know about Kenny Albert and Dick Stockton in their younger years welcoming you into Raljon.
Raljon, Maryland.
All right, let's take some calls. 800-636-1067. Let's go to Michael in Northeast on Grant and Danny. What's up, Michael?
Hey, how you guys doing today?
Hey, buddy.
Hey, so Grant, I really liked your example about, hey, if I'm telling my parents or someone older that knows that it's FedEx Field, hey, I'm going over to FedEx Former. Yeah, we don't know what the new name is going to be, but Command Center is definitely a non-starter for me. I like FedEx Former, and I remember messaging you. You said you loved it.
FedEx Former is outstanding. You tell me this, and maybe this is nitpicky. Does former FedEx roll off the tongue easier than FedEx Former? I think former FedEx rolls off the tongue.
Let me try it. Home game this weekend, FedEx Former. Home game this weekend at former FedEx. First one. FedEx Former.
Okay.
FedEx Former.
I actually like that fine. Now,
FEF.
FedEx is continuing to get some love as a sponsor.
Mm-hmm.
They're not paying for that love.
No, it's free.
We okay with that?
Not for me. Whole thing's Nubs. Should have a name on the stadium. Nubs.
I think FedEx Former is very good.
Mm-hmm.
That is going to be on my. I have to move winning off the podium. That's going to supplant it. I'm only going to have 3 finalists at any given moment. So winning off that just got knocked off. I've got Fed Up, Raljon, or FedEx Former. Raljon is a feeling. I came into this thinking I was going to go with Fed Up. Raljon is a hard charger.
Raljon is making a push.
That is pretty good. Jeremy's in Ashburn, home of the Commanders. What's up, Jeremy?
Hi, guys. I think I'm going to go with Hog Pen. Kind of has some nostalgic vibes. It might instigate new ownership into a new potential idea. And our fans love living in raw sewage. What else do I got to say?
They're used to it. Huh? There's a trough.
Hog Pen. I get the difference between pig and hog from a Commanders and organizational history standpoint. Pig pen sounds a lot better and kind of really describes the joint.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm going over to the pig pen.
Hog sty, the pig pen.
Hog pen's great because you got the Harris ownership group or the Hogs.
Mm-hmm.
Also, I think the name should be the Hogs. Should have been the Hogs to begin with. Just staring you right in the face. Just
looking right at you.
Looking at
Hi.
you. Going, hey, everyone likes me. I'm right here.
It's from when we were good.
But you had to know. You just knew better than the rest of us. Go to Wayne in Pennsylvania. What's up, Wayne?
Party on, Wayne.
Hey, how's it going? How about just calling it our home field? It's correct. It is our home field.
But can you use that in a sentence, please,
Oh,
sir?
I see what you're doing. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, we're playing the 49ers at our home field on Sunday.
Okay, so really never give it a name ever. Yep. Just refer to it as at home, basically.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not real keen on Fed Up because come the middle of the season, I'm hoping that we're not fed up with anything other than that stupid name.
Well, then we'll be fed up with winning. I mean, we'll be fed up with how handsome Adam Peters is and all the credit he's getting for this great roster on ESPN.
That's actually pretty creative. Where you just go, where's the game this weekend? Our home field. Because you're always saying our home field.
I don't like 3 words.
Okay.
But I could just say, what if I just always said home?
There you go.
They're playing at home.
There you go.
If it was just the word home.
But we're going to have to say the name of the stadium at some point.
In what way? Like, give me a time when you
I don't know.
To say it. Use it in a sentence, please. Place of origin.
Yeah. When's the last time you went to the stadium? And then you're going to be like, which one? Which stadium?
Okay.
I was at Nats Park?
When's the last time you went home does not work there.
You see what I'm saying?
When's the last time you went to Raljon does?
Yeah, now you know it. Raljon's on my podium.
I think you're sleeping on Fed Up a little bit because it sounds so much like you know exactly what I'm talking about.
I know exactly what you mean.
And I've never
and that's been the name forever that
kind
people
of,
informally, yeah.
I mean, but also FedExField, that's very formal. That's like I'm wearing a dress shirt with buttons and a tie. I refer to it as FedEx, which is why these companies pay a lot of money, by the way.
There it is.
But like on a text or if I'm just on the phone, like, hey, I'll be at FedEx in 30 minutes. Hey, I'm on my way to FedEx. I'm not saying FedExField. You know, I'm not dropping off a package on October 3rd on my way to the game and a tailgate. You know what I mean? Like, what time you getting here? I'll be over at FedEx in 30 minutes.
Somebody can't go is doing 2-day overnight? No.
Let's go to Dominic, who's listening on the Odyssey app.
He's doing that, yeah.
In Ohio. Very, very handsome, by the way. Looks like Adam Peters. What's up, Dominic?
Hey, boys. Thanks, as always, for taking the call.
Yes, sir.
I got a couple suggestions, if you'll indulge me. So, number one is Left Hand Up Stadium. Danny, that's for you.
Dominic, how dare you?
Number 2 is Great American Restaurant Stadium. Grant, that's for you. We can call it the Maui Pineapple Chicken, if you will.
Oh, Mr. NPC. I'm in on that.
Yeah. But I think ultimately Washington Football Stadium, even though it sounds like a bit, kind of sounds the best until they actually figure out what the hell they're doing with the name.
So many words.
Washington Football Stadium.
So many words. Going to Washington Football Stadium. I can't. It's just too much. The same as Washington Football Team. But he seems to think like I think. He said until they figure out what they're doing with the name. Don't you guys get that by saying nothing, they are breathing oxygen into the idea that they will be changing the name again? So I'm not telling them they have to change the name or that they should, although I think they should. But I'm not saying that. What I am saying to anyone listening that matters is every day that goes by where you kick the can down the road, which is what we're all assuming is happening when you go, it's not a priority right now. We're not really sure right now. And we've got other things we're considering. That is not, this will be the name. Think about how different these two things are.
Very different.
The name will always be Commanders, or we got other things we got to fix first right now. Because that's what they've said so far. The saying nothing is being taken as saying something. And if that's not your plan, if that's not what you're thinking, you need to come out and address it and say, get used to Commanders, because people will start to fall in line. Not to the extent that you'd probably like, but there are people like me, as soon as you say this thing is a thing forever, I'll just get more used to it. I'll get my kids the merch that I haven't necessarily. They got some stuff, but for the most part, we're keeping it casual. Because I don't know if I'm wasting money. I think something else is coming in the next few years. If I'm wrong, tell me.
100%.
Lead me in the direction that I need to be walked
We need
in.
a status report. I know they don't want to put the cart before the horse and say we're gonna do this. Then everyone's looking at their watch going, when are you doing it? When? That's tough too. It's rock and a hard place. But you are 100% correct. I triple stamp your double stamp, Lloyd. The longer there's no definitive, it means there's something to this. It means there's smoke. It means there's the time in Castaway when Tom Hanks is rubbing the 2-6 together before he lets the air get to it and he actually gets fired. We're right there. We're all sitting here begging for something, right? Because this is me saying, Grant didn't say this, I'm saying this. The name sucks. Every time I hear it, it reminds me of Dan Snyder figuratively smacking me in the face and thumbing his nose at me and going, ha, 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 you're stuck. It's the last vestige of him. Cut it right off. Amputate it immediately, and then shoot fire at it. Let us all come and take a turn with the flamethrower. Get rid of it this instant. It's horrible. It was never good. Anyone who thought it was good should have to leave.
Well, and there are a group of people that have bought in and or like it, but I would say that 90% of those people would buy in on any name.
If they were the earwax, those guys would have gotten the shirt day one and waited in line for it, like taking selfies.
I'm not joning, because
those
people are necessary. And they're the ones that are traveling to games and listening. And like, that is the heart and soul in a lot of ways of the fan base. So that's a good thing. But my point is just, I don't think they loved it because it was awesome. You could have named the team anything and they would have found a way to make it work, just like they will with the next name. So, well, you have that little circle of people that are going to follow you into whatever battle you go into with the name. You got to get a bigger circle. You got to get more people that can tolerate the name. And I also heard in your monologue there, in your soliloquy, that you are putting the suggestion left hand up stadium in your Mount Rushmore?
No.
Is that what you said?
No.
It's on the podium.
Nope. On the YouTube stream right now, you'll notice both my hands are touching the desk. Keep your hands down. It's embarrassing. Do you understand it? It's embarrassing.
Let's go to Brandon in Waldorf on G&D. What's up, Brandon?
Hey, gentlemen, how are you doing today?
Good, buddy.
Good.
Okay, so I have a very simple one that works, and it works for multiple reasons. If you go into a Nats game, you say you're going to the ballpark or Nats Park.
Yeah.
You go into the Wizards of Caps, you say you're going to Capital One or Cap One. When you were going to former FedExField, you were going to see a game. There's nothing special about it. No, I mean, the team had their moments, but like, there's nothing about that stadium that stands out to you that makes it feel like a home stadium. So when you ride around town and I say, Grant, who do they play week 2? You say, where do they play week 2 against the Giants? You say, the stadium.
The stadium is good because I'm a believer. Like, I like excellence in simplicity. The stadium.
It's clean.
It actually is something I could get down with. I don't know if it'll be my favorite. I'm going to jot it down. I got a good tweet here from somebody. I'm at Grant H. Paulson. Danny's at Funny Danny. FedExField. Little double meaning.
FedEx.
It's no longer FedEx.
They're playing at the X
Stadium.
You know what?
The X.
I like the X.
The X is kind of silly.
I like the X.
Did you just stumble into that?
Yeah.
That's going to
shorten
get
it up a little bit.
Spot.
That might have bumped somebody.
I'm knocking FedEx Former out. The X is now. I love that.
I gotta dig the X.
So I've got Raljon,
Uh-huh.
Fed Up, and the X. What order do you like those in? 1, 2, 3.
Say them one more time for me. Roll them out.
Yeah.
Like try to make it you and me are having a conversation.
Commanders, Giants, 1 o'clock on Sunday at Raljon. Commanders, Panthers, 1 o'clock on Sunday at Fed Up. Commanders, Chargers, 4 o'clock on Sunday at the X.
Dude.
You like the X,
dude. That catapulted for you. For you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
For your rankings.
Are you sticking with?
Yeah, it's Nubs.
Nubs Field.
Yeah, it's just Nubs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right now, my order is. There's a few minutes left here. I kind of like Raljon. I like Raljon. Now, I'm curious because Clary, you're young enough, Darius, you're new enough to the game here. You guys have no memory or recollection of Raljon, Maryland. So does that appeal to you in any way, or do you just think that sounds stupid?
I think it sounds stupid. I have no file on that at all.
So when I keep saying Raljon, that's so funny, that's so great, you're going, it's like Danny
You're
hearing
like,
his kids say a word.
Yeah, it's just kind of going in one ear and not the other because I have no idea what you guys are talking about.
So I believe if this is how it went, Jack Kent Cook's kids were named Ralph
and
John. So Jack Kent Cook bought the land to build the stadium on, and he named that area, that town, whatever part of PG County, Raljon, Maryland. It was his own little area. And then when he built the stadium on Raljon lot, people said, I'm going over to Raljon. Now, this is literally when I was a little kid when the stadium was new. Late 90s, I'm going to say it was probably from maybe 95 before they built it and were breaking ground through like 99. And after really Dan took over, obviously they were gone, so it was over. But that is just a deep cut, like real nice recall.
It's a good bet.
That's a real story. That's a real thing that happened.
That's a fact. Yeah. But yeah.
Wow, that's awful.
So Raljon's a little bit silly.
It's silly in the
throwback.
In the throwback area, yeah, sure, absolutely.
So have you heard anything you like more than Raljon, Fed Up, or the X?
I'm kind of digging the X. I was gonna ask you, I want to hear you say the X doing a fake open to the Fox theme music. Would you be willing to do that?
Could you give us one of those?
Yeah. Well, as you know the clock. We could do that as soon as we return.
All right.
We've got business to tend to. But we've also got a lot of suggestions here, so we can get to those next. 800-636-1067. Also, just out of curiosity, you guys don't hate the name as much as Danny does. And on a scale of, like, Danny hates it, and I don't know who, but, like, Rally, somebody loves it. Where are you at on the name? Like, Commander's Field. You're fine with that, or you'd like to call it something else?
No, I hate the stadium. I hate the field. I hate everything about the Commander's name. Not as much as Danny, but I hate it so much.
So you're not going to call it Commander's Field?
No.
All right.
I don't have a problem calling it Commander's Field just because that's what the team wants us to call it. That's fine. I'm not going to be a rebel. I found myself more recently not liking the name as much because now we're starting to hear more and more players make fun of the name.
Oh, this is hitting Darius hard.
It's starting to hit me now.
He keeps sending these videos to us. Like, I don't care what Joey Porter Jr. thinks about anything, but like the Pittsburgh Steelers corner is like joning on Emmanuel Forbes on a video call. They're on FaceTime, and he's like, "You play for the Commanders? Ha ha! That's a stupid name." And who is the other person?
Montez Sweat.
When Montez Sweat said it on Chris Long's podcast,
now that he's a Bears guy, he's like joning on the name.
But that kind of like opens my eyes that okay, cool. If those guys think that it's stupid, that means that the players on the team probably
they play in the NFL,
too.
and other NFL players probably feel similarly.
I don't think that's a coincidence.
How could they not think it's stupid? It sounds like a video game arcade team.
Yep. There's so many other teams that sound stupid too, though. But
right, but they're not 2 years old.
I don't know.
Like, if you named all those teams now, they would probably think they sound stupid too.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you give it 40 years, no one's going to be on whatever version of FaceTime exists then. Be like, Commanders is a terrible name.
And that's why at first, when they said the name, I wasn't one of these people who was enraged by how stupid the name sounds. But now that I'm hearing players kind of realize or say and come out that this name is stupid, it is becoming a little bit embarrassing to me.
I don't hate the name. I just want to go on record.
Oh.
I think the name is not that good. I don't like the name. I think any name they would have picked other than the one I wanted, and I don't mean that selfishly, but it's just my idea was let's appeal to the people that are angry and call them the Hogs and bridge the era, and I think that's the thing they did the worst. So if you're not going to go with something that was burgundy and gold clad and was all about the organization, everyone was going to hate it for a while. And that we're just in that period, whatever they were. And they picked something that means nothing. So that's kind of where I'm at. I call them the Commanders. I got no problem. But don't now tell me to do Commanders Field and,
That's just the brand. You got to embrace all of it.
I will not be doing that.
Yeah, that's all you have to do.
I have my Commander's lunchbox and I'm eating my Commander's snack. Like, leave me alone. Everyone leave me alone.
You guys throw your anniversary party, you and Darius, on 2/2/22 every year. Like, how fun was this?
I'm just not going to be playing along with all of the skits and the bits. Speaking of which, someone was listening yesterday because I thought this was good.
Mm-hmm.
They just said, "How about Raljon Skibbity?"
I tell you, that fits.
800-636-1067. We're looking for a new name.
Skibbity.
For FedEx Field. FedEx is no longer a sponsor. The team is going with Commanders Field. We're not going to be doing that.